So you've heard so far in session part one a bit about why we need to think about human authorization. And I really loved what Glenn, I think this should be the new handshake for human authorized, when Glenn said we're not going to build agents and a human world separately, it's going to be together. And so I think we can have this is our own secret handshake in the physical world. And this is why, in the digital world, we've made a lot of progress from the original physical patch. We've come a long way as we've become a digital society to the new kind of digital patches from the first diff to all the things that Unix has been doing. But now that AI has become everything, it turns all domains into code paths, from our financial lives to our relationships, to our social lives, medical lives, money, everything. And as AI becomes infrastructure, patching becomes governance. The thing is, though, that AI has kind of broken our patching model, which is why we have to create, the Agentic AI Foundation, that what Linux Foundation has done, is to figure out, what does this new world look like? Because agent systems don't always stay inside their boundaries that we design for them. Because when you start to do things in a distributed and an autonomous way, you can't just patch with logs and contracts or trust assumptions. And you're going to hear more about this, because at the Advanced AI Society, we believe we're facing the largest patch, of our time that we need to figure out together is how can we live well together with autonomous systems? And I want to thank Baratunde Thurston, who is giving us this language. I just changed my slide really quickly from the morning keynote that he provided. And the thing is, if your AI infrastructure cannot prove any of these things we've listed here, who or what had the authority, who was authorized, what entity was allowed to pass this boundary, you do not have control. And we really want to get this message through. But we don't have to be scared, because the tech for patching AI is here. This is an incredible things that Sheila Warren, our panelist earlier, who's our board member, was referring to, is that control over AI is provable. All this technology we've been working on in obscure worlds of Web3 or crypto or blockchain, all of that has the biggest use case now, which is actually providing control over our AI infrastructure. And this is why we've rebranded all this technology proof of control. It's the foundational category of tech for the AI economy that makes autonomous systems provable. And the thing that they all have in common is that they're all cryptographically tamper-resistant technologies. And there's 5 dimensions to it, and you'll recognize these words. They bring together many different communities: privacy, portability, verifiability, security, and identity. These are the 5 basic dimensions of proof of control. And we are rebranding crypto and blockchain, because part of it is that when you go to enterprise and you try and get someone to adopt, and you're like, oh yeah, I've got this decentralized solution built on crypto rails using blockchain or permissionless or public, blah, blah. And they're just like, what are you talking about? And the other half times, they're kind of disgusted, because the problem is that the crypto industry has really screwed itself over. So we're like, you know what? We don't need to scare the buyer. We don't need to scare the adopters. In order for this scale and to not screw up this moment, to take advantage of this opportunity, we have to make sure we tell the right story. And this is why we've rebranded it proof of control. And that Advanced AI Society, we're an industry association that's activating the proof of control as a foundational category. It's this new kind of market. And it's what Sheila also was using the earlier analogy, is that the proof of control stack is not, it's a Lego stack of different kinds of builders and solutions coming together. We have our early founding members, many of whom are here, who you'll meet. We have more members to announce. And the reason why we believe right now is the right time for an industry association is that mature industries need industry associations to really make sure that we gain that momentum and accelerate the development and adoption of it. We've seen this before with fabless chip design. Maybe we wouldn't have NVIDIA right now if it wasn't for the Global Semiconductor Association in 1994 by Jody Shelton, who got these renegade fabless chip designers like, we are an association and we will do this. We are an industry. We don't always need to have a factory to push out a new chip. This happened here with Why Are We in This Room, hosted in conjunction with the Linux Foundation. We have Brian Bellador from the Open Source Initiative. We have Apache. All of these things happened around 1998 to really make sure that free software was not the way the world would understand open source. It was not anti-capitalist. And then we have Cloud Security Alliance, did this again in 2009. And we believe that we are at another moment right now where we need to come together along with, First Personhood Project, where we have to define what is proof of control, that we have to say there's this bounded group of technologies that the world may not have understood, but has been developed by really incredible builders. We have incredible architecture now. The technology is here, but we need to make sure we're going to the industry, to the adopters in a way where they can understand. And so this is why we are launching the Proof of Control Initiative. It's an evaluation framework for agentic AI adoption and governance. And what we're doing here, our goal is to make sure we bridge this provability gap that enterprises are experiencing because they don't know that AI is provable. And here's a side-by-side. I'm not going to go through each line of what life would look like, essentially, for our humanity if we have proof of control. I'm going to bring up Ken Huang, our co-chair of the Proof of Control Initiative. And Ken, are you here? Oh, great. Ken, wrote up these 5 provability dimensions. We're not going to go through it in detail because I'm just going to interview you and ask you some questions. I'm going to sit in the middle here, and I'll move over. Yeah, why don't you sit here, and I'll sit here.
Okay, sure. Yeah. I'm sitting here?
Yes.
Okay.
Why don't you sit here? Can the people on the side see us? I want to make sure. Well, all good? Great. So this is why we're launching here the Proof of Control Initiative. This is a really important moment here. This is our first time really talking about it publicly, and this is the first time we've been on stage together, Ken. But we, when Michael first, put us in touch, I was like, we have to recruit Ken. And we've been talking over the last 6 months since, your first appearance, like almost a year, 9 months since your first appearance at the MIT Summit that we put together with Project Nanda. But here you are here. You have had a really incredible career in security. You've written about 12 books on AI, on Web3, on blockchain, and you're behind some of those important security advancements, including you're a chair at the Cloud Security Alliance, one of the last industry associations I mentioned. Why did you decide to co-chair this? Why is this the moment for you to take on a new framework?
Yeah, I think everyone come here must realize that we are in a new area, which is agentic AI area, right? It's kind of non-reversible. That's also the keynote everyone in the panel talking about. We do have security standards, many different standards from OWASP, from Cloud Security Alliance, from Linux Foundation. All those are really good standards. Those standards is really built for deterministic computing environment. We are now into a non-deterministic and autonomy, right? Autonomy-based economy, or agentic economy. So that's when we need a new standard.
Do you think enterprises really understand that we are in a non-deterministic world, or that these worlds are going to live together, and we have to figure out how this, in your experience, when you talk to enterprises, you're talking to CISOs all day, are we just at the beginning of the understanding, or are they do they get it? What are you hearing on the ground?
Yeah, I would say people start, especially the CISOs of some of the majority company, really get it, right? Say, okay, we need to put some guardrail. We cannot get the agent rules to do whatever. So when OpenClaw become a kind of success in the community, I hear most people from the community said, we will not let it run in our enterprise environment. You can run it in your own Mac Mini. So I think the big winner for the OpenClaw is the Mac Mini, right? So you can run it and then you do not run on your corporate computer or your personal computer with your personal data. You can have a Mac Mini and nothing in it, and let it loose on your file system.
So I think, since you work with a lot of CISOs and CIOs, I can't imagine a harder job right now, but one of the hardest jobs, right? You're responsible for implementing the thing that your board, your non-technical C-suite leaders are kind of pressuring you to be I hear all the time of leaders being we got to do something around AI. I get calls from past clients being okay, it's time. We need Tricia, tell us what to do with AI. And then, but when it comes to adopting proof of control, what will happen if CISOs and companies start to implement AI without proof of control? Can you paint a picture for us? What could happen? Why is this so important to adopt?
Yeah, so a very simple example, like your data can get deleted, your database, or your production environment can get deprovisioned. That happens, right? If you listen to recent news, I don't want to mention the vendor. There is a superscalar, right? A production environment gets deleted by a coding agent, right? And also the database
That's already
gets
happened.
deleted. Yeah, it's already happened. Yeah, last year, December. So that's happening. I think it will not be the last. It will continue, but still we need the control in place. There's urgency in it, right?
So one last question. You're going to see Ken again, I promise. He's going to come up for the third section of this panel, since one of our panelists, for this section, since one of our panelists couldn't make it. But I do have one last question before we move on to our first panel, which is that, it is a really special moment in here. It's like this handshake moment that Glenn is introducing. It's like this is the first time we bring this kind of audience together and telling the world, the enterprises, that they need to adopt proof of control, and we want that to trickle down to everyday society. But if you could just give us a prediction in 5 years or something, do you think that proof of control will be seen as a non-negotiable? Will boards understand that? Will regulators understand that? Like, where do you see this happening, this trajectory?
So that's all related to regulation. So like if you look at the regulation landscape, EU has the EU AI Act. So it has different level of use, right? If in certain area, like facial recognition, it's prohibitive. So you cannot use it for facial recognition. But some of high risk, you do need to go through certain level of proof of control, right? Yeah. Maybe using different term. So one thing for sure, the agentic AI will get more powerful. And we're talking about in previous panel about the identity, the reputation. Those are all really important artifact or construct for this to happen. And we also published a white paper in the Cloud Security Alliance, right? The identity access approach, like the new approach. And I know some of the vendors is implemented. I talk with, I think the affinity is also, we talk about that as well, right? And
so I'm going to take that as a yes, that you think that this will be a non-negotiable for more highly regulated industries, for industries that are dealing with more sensitive data, and for regions that are going to have more regulations, regulators that are able to understand that they can start to do this kind of like automated compliance. That's going to be one of their tools.
Yeah. So it's really, some is really regulation based, some is really your business case, right? If you do not do it, it happens, your data deleted, you get sued, so that's a going concern for your business.
It's going to be an actual business risk to not, a risk to your bottom line.